Got to get some earnings now. We're going to start with Coinbase here. Total revenue at the company, $2.27 billion. That is ahead of estimates of $1.87 billion. Earnings per share also well above what analysts had been anticipating. And trading volume at $439 billion ahead of estimates here. The shares are falling here. I'm trying to dig in and see what exactly is going on, Josh. I don't know if you've seen the...
I wonder how much could be. I mean, this stock has been on such a move as well. I mean, it was up more than 100% over the past 12 months heading into this sprint. It was up about 50%, Julie, just from the election, which was a big part of this story, right? I mean, a lot of investors had moved in here hard because they had really seen Coinbase as a winner, with Trump's win as a winner of having a crypto ally in the White House.
I'm looking at the company's outlook here just to run through some of what they're saying. They said first quarter subscription and services revenue will be $685 to $765 million. Not sure what the specific estimates were around that metric. First quarter transaction expenses will be in the mid to high teens as a percentage of net revenue here. And also the company talked about some of their expenses, including here, increasing here, I should say. So maybe that's weighing on things as well, or kind of to your point, after the high flying, maybe an excuse for a little bit of selling here. But we're going to continue to dig in. I mean, Coinbase has been one of the most visible and vocal lobbyists for crypto policy to change in D.C. They've gotten pretty much everything they wanted. Now, I guess it's a question of how do they put that to work? How do they take advantage of that? What changes for them on a material basis based on any kind of changes that are happening in Washington?
What's also interesting with that point, though, Julie, is that if you have this sort of friendlier regulatory backdrop and you have allies in the White House, you see how it's good for Coinbase. But does it also mean, okay, the competitive landscape maybe gets more intense?
Maybe. Mizuho America's senior financial technology analyst, Dan Dolev, is here on set with us for more insights into the quarter here. So, we were looking at the numbers here for Coinbase, and it seems like, they're not terrible, and yet we're seeing the shares pull back here. Is it just because they have had such a run? What's your impression of the results?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, they crushed, Q4. I mean, if you compare it with consensus estimates, but that doesn't really matter because the sell side typically is slower to update their numbers than the buy side. So it's a little bit of a mirage, right? So people are looking at this big beat, which is great to see, but everyone on the buy side, which is like the people, trading, they already have those numbers in their model. So what matters most, I think, again, this is more interpretation, two things: the take rates, the retail take rates, and February trends. So I can unpack that for you if you want. So take rates actually flat to maybe slightly down, so at about 1.5 percentage point on the retail take rate. That's actually okay. I think I guess if you're bearish on Coinbase, we're not that bearish. I mean, we actually upgraded Coinbase recently to neutral. So we're not bearish, but if you're bearish on Coinbase, you're like, they're gonna have to give discounts. So the fact that the retail take rate is actually flat sequentially, so Q4 to Q3, that's good news. And the February trends, that's another thing. So they're basically saying 750 through February 11th, I think. So if you take that times 2, roughly speaking, that's like 1.5 billion on transaction revenue. I think this, the buy side was probably modeling a little higher. So I think that's kind of the puts and takes in terms of excitement versus disappointment here.
Dan, can I ask you, this stock is up about 50% since the election, right? It's just incredible move. And obviously a lot of people bet this is one of those names that wins from Trump being back in the White House, that wins from having a crypto ally in the White House. What could Trump do? What are the levers this administration could pull that could be tailwinds for Coinbase?
So everyone is hoping and praying in every possible religion for a Bitcoin reserve. I think that would be probably that the crypto industry, and especially Coinbase, and I don't blame them, are lobbying for so deregulation is obviously coming. I mean, you've seen some pretty harsh moves, but I think what could make or break is if the Trump administration actually makes that decision and goes all in, so to say, and announces some crypto reserve. The reason for that is it elevates Bitcoin values, and when Bitcoin values go up, people start trading more. So think of it as the casino. When you see people winning and coming out smiling and dancing out of the casino, you want to go in and check in. It's like, oh, people are getting rich. So that's kind of the dynamic. When people lose money, nobody wants to touch it. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, I'm curious if the Bitcoin reserve doesn't happen. You know, we've sort of been trying to get to the bottom of like what other material changes will happen, not with the price of Bitcoin, which recognizing that Coinbase follows it, but like with their business. Will they be able to list coins that they weren't able to list under the SEC, or that those were disputed at least? Like, are there other things in terms of their banking relationships that have started to change with the removal of that rule from the SEC? Like, what actually changes for them?
Listing is huge. I think Chairman Gensler was, very, very, say, prudent in terms of allowing them to list, altcoins, right? That's like a nice way to put it.
Yes, I used the other word earlier off camera.
That will take that word we'll use over a beer. But yeah, altcoins on TV, right? So this is going to be much faster. They're going to be able to list those coins much faster. That right now they list, I think, over 200 these coins, and Robinhood, for example, lists 20. So there's actually more upside on Robinhood from listing more coins than on Coinbase, surprisingly, because Coinbase is already there and Robinhood is here. But I'm very constructive on Coinbase as well. So yeah, more coins, faster. Just less regulatory issues, like just not being feeling like under the gun every day.
Less friction.
Less friction. That's what the crypto industry has felt over the last 4 years. And I think the hope is things will get a little easier down the road.
Daniel, the SEC sued Coinbase, I guess it was 2023, I think. Do you have any line of sight there, or talk to anybody who has line of sight about what the SEC does there, if they drop the case or they settle in a way that's good for Coinbase? Is that even something that comes up when you talk to clients?
It's very, very interesting you say that. The people that I talk to, which are institutional investors, they're not as focused on it. And I'm not a legal expert, but that being said, I can tell you that this particular topic, and maybe the answer is in this particular topic has not come up for debate in pretty much since the election. So I think I don't know what the outcome's going to look like, but I think the pressure on the industry is kind of starting to immediately become,
Interesting.
less of a drag.
Dan, I guess the other thing I would ask is, won't they see more competition from TradFi, right, from traditional finance? Because now also the roadblocks are removed for them to be more involved in crypto. Coinbase, of course, is retail driven, so presumably they'll still benefit from retail. But like, how is that going to play out?
That is an excellent question, because in fact, so if you think about this, you're getting to the core of the issue. So one of the things that we've been highlighting is Coinbase's take rates on average for retail are about 175
What do we mean by
points.
take rates?
So it's the yield. I mean, it's a fancy word, but it's what they charge. So for every $100, they make $1.75 of trading, right? So just take it on average. Robinhood, for example, is about 55, 0.5%. Okay, 0.5%. So those traditional financial companies, right? The Schwabs of the world and all these other guys, they weren't able to really offer crypto trading until now. And to your point, what their strategy could be is they could just come and say, hey, we're going to offer it for free. Just come and trade equities, be our private client. I'll let you trade all these things for free. And then the question is, and this is a good question, does Coinbase have enough of a moat today that people still coming? Because it's a great app. People love to trade on it, right? So there's a lot of value in Coinbase. But I've always said that the pricing is the Achilles heel. It's too high. It hasn't come down yet, which is amazing, but it's too high, and I don't know if it's like sustainable over the long term.
Let me get your specific take on Robinhood, Dan, because they reported yesterday. So revenue more than doubles. The stock's up more than 400% over the past 12 months. What a tremendous move. You say it's still a buy at these levels.
Oh, it's a 10-bagger. Let me tell you why. I mean, over 10 years. Over 10 years, not my price target is not a 10-bagger right now, but to be clear, but I have upside, but not a 10x upside. But over the next 10 years, this could be a 10-bagger. Let me tell you why. They are eyeing a $600 billion TAM, at least. That doesn't include sports betting, right? So that's incremental to that. Right now, they're doing $3 billion in revenue. So say they have 5% market share of that 600, that's $30 billion. So if over the next 10 years, they can actually go from 3 to 30, that's 10x. And they're actually, it's not just a pie in the sky, they're actually executing. So, I mean, funded accounts are up almost 2 million year over year, 900,000 sequentially. Assets under management are up 90%. 7x growth in their retirement. So good things are happening, and they're getting into Asia, they're getting into Europe, and they're more broad-based. The reason we still prefer Robinhood over Coinbase, even though I'm constructive on Coinbase, is because it's more diversified and it's a global brand. So you go to like Europe, you go to Asia, people know Robinhood, partly because of what happened in 2021, but it doesn't matter, right? People know it, and millennials love it. It's a great, they really perfected gamifying trading, and young people love to do that. So
biggest risk for Coinbase?
Over the medium term, I just think more. This is the fear. The fear is, obviously, crypto values or Bitcoin kind of starting to go the other way, which we can't predict. But the bigger one is just competition. You're going to get, because of deregulation. To your point, you're going to get the traditional guys come in, some of the kind of Coinbase lookalikes trying to come in, and there might be a time where those take rates, those yields or spreads, might be under pressure. Hasn't happened yet, which is a very positive thing for Coinbase.
Dan, great to see you on set. Thank you for stopping by.
Anytime.